Hello, people. Some quality content right there. Okay, I'm ready for you. Welcome. I should have waited. Should have waited to hit the button. How's it going, everybody? It's me, Comic Crack. Um, it's been a day. It's been a good day. I feel good. Few things that have been happening lately before we jump into it. Yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll save all that stuff. There's just been some. I guess one of the things I'll talk about is I did some. The fam and I got asked to do some painting at a friend of mine's place on these planters. So we spent a few hours today doing that until it thunderstormed on us and we had to wrap it up. But that's been pretty fun. Um, I was approached to make a mask for somebody, a musician down in the States. I believe he's based out of Oakland, and I'm really excited about it. Uh, it was the first time that I've been asked to do kind of a piece of art for somebody. Um, it was great. I'll share pictures once he gets the mask and everything. Then I'll share pictures. I don't want to share photos on social media yet because I want him to open it up and be surprised. Um, we worked out a deal. He runs a small record label called Weird Ear, and if you go to Bandcamp, you can find his page there. Lots of great stuff. So he sent me a bunch of records in the mail. They haven't got here yet, but he also gave me the digital downloads uh, for all of his releases. So I've been listening to those. I listened to, I don't know, three or four of the releases I think this week. Some really interesting stuff. I'm not super familiar with everything he's put out. I've listened to a couple of things, and I'm a little familiar with his stuff. So it was a nice surprise to kind of listen to some of these releases and it not be anything like I imagined it was going to be. That's great. I love that kind of thing. Um, and then uh, I've been doing some music lately as well too. Same guy that we're doing the painting for. He's doing a short film. So he had asked a while ago if I could, if I had anything. So I sent him a bunch of stuff, and it's just kind of sparked this recording mode for me. I've recorded a bunch of things, or not a bunch of things, a few things, I guess, at this point. And because I record so much, I have a bunch of stuff on the computer already. So I had sent him a couple of things that I already have on the computer. So I mean, that's kind of fun. I've done a little bit of soundtrack work before, not too many things though. I think two short films, pieces of music for two short films. And it was great. But all of that stuff was pre existing music solely. This one, there's a couple of pieces that I've written with this short film in mind. It hasn't been shot yet, it's still in the process, but I know the premise of it. So I'm kind of, and also what he wants out of the music. So incorporating those kind of ideas together, just recording stuff with the idea that it's going to appear there. It's not just me playing around and recording stuff. It's been a blast though, because it was nice to clean off the table. All I did was I cleaned off my work area just outside there, my little apartment away from home downstairs in the basement. Cleaned off the table of all the gear and just started from scratch. And with the idea that I was going to set up some very specific gear, I set up very minimal equipment and kind of just started getting into that, which was such a great way. It can kind of it's a little difficult at times when you have everything at your disposal. You feel all the time you need to incorporate every single thing that's in front of you, or at least I do. So it was nice to kind of just have a blank slate and just have a few things set up and go for it. Um, I won't be sharing any of that music yet. I'm going to wait for a while, but at some point I'll definitely share it if anybody's interested in hearing it. Maybe I'll put some of it up on here so you can hear some of it. But it's been cool because I brought out this old tape deck that I've got, and did some recording onto cassette. And because the tape deck and these cassettes that I have they're both really old, it had a really, really, really fantastic natural kind of warble to it. Uh, so that was very exciting, playing that back and then playing over top of that and sampling things, and just gives it a really nice feel to everything. I'm realizing I should just double check. I think I have the mic set up properly, but let me just double check. Yeah, it's working there. uh so that's all that. So it's been, during the lockdown, it's been nice to have some creative outlets, as well as kind of working from home. um but it's great to kind of be taking these next steps and doing some other things as well too, especially as we start to poke our heads out. And we're in phase two here in Winnipeg, um, of back to work. I start back to work officially next week, or this week coming up rather, but just 3 days a week for about 4 hours each day. Weird Dad, happy Father's Day to you, man. Thanks for tuning in here. So that'll be good to kind of get in the office and sit at the computer. It's becoming increasingly difficult to work from my work phone, dealing with emails and meetings and stuff. So that'll be nice. So I thought I talked about it briefly in Dr. Monkeybot's chat with Larasa on Friday. Um, a while ago, I had done a trade with a local legend, Greg Harder, and it's great to have these outlets. I realize I've talked about it a million times, but I can't say enough about these people here in town, and I'll continue to say good things about them. It's fantastic to have a nice community here where even stuff that I can't sell, and to me, it's just not stuff that I want, and I really want to pass it on to somebody else. It's nice to also have the chance to trade in with people. Greg has an incredible stockpile of stuff. He's been sending lists to people that are on his mailing lists. And one of the most recent ones was his alternative comics list. And all I did was go through the A's and B's when I first got it, and I was making note of a bunch of stuff that was in there. So when I had a bunch of stuff to trade, finally, he was generous enough to take them all from me, give me an incredible deal, um, and then I bought some books on top of that, which he then gave me an incredible deal on even those purchased books too. So I've got quite a stack. It's fucking enormous stack, to be honest, but there's a lot of really, really good stuff, and I'm very excited to dig into it. But I thought what I would do, I just did a test of this and it seemed to work. Let's go for it again here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Oh, I know what I can do. We're going to go for it anyway. So you're going to see, I'm going to show you this anti-gravity room. I think you're probably seeing me to the sidebar here. Anti-gravity room, if you know it, you know it. If you don't, it was a Canadian show that dealt with kind of comics and that sort of world, mainly comics. I think Anti-Gravity Room was. There was a episode that Greg appeared in, so I've talked about it before. So I figured, why don't we just watch it?
Many really great collections are discovered by accident. We found one old warehouse in Winnipeg that turned out to have a huge lost treasure trove. And it wasn't even guarded by Aztecs with dart guns or anything.
Oh boy, this was working earlier. Sorry, people.
We're standing on the sixth floor of a building. It's approximately 6,000 square feet. It's stacked from head to toe with everything from pocketbooks, comics, magazines, toys, records, the whole shebang in the collector's world. in one of the alleyways, and we have a million plus comics worth $1 million plus. I would say we probably have the most of Marvel comics. We have anywhere from the 1960s on up through the 90s. DC would be second. We have as well a collection of those from the 40s on up through the 60s and 70s and 80s. Other companies that we have include Dennis the Menace, Walt Disney, Uncle Scrooge, Donald Duck, Charlton Comics, printed Hanna-Barbera mostly, and old Dell Comics, Roy Rogers, Lone Ranger, lots of TV stuff like Mission Impossible. People send us lists through the mail and things that they want. This, for instance, is a guy from New Jersey, and he's looking for Dennis the Menace comics. The release number here I have is number 14. It's from the 50s. I'm sure he'll be happy to get that. When I first started up here, in this particular warehouse was about 5 years ago. And I remember everything was unorganized. Nothing was really sorted. Couldn't find anything. I remember standing in the middle of the warehouse, scratching my head. Where do I start on this mess?
Ultimately, comic books should be stored in where you store all your secrets, in a dark.
Yeah. Tell us how to store our comic books. So we'll close that up there. We'll stop sharing, and I'll try to get back to it. Well, that went about as smoothly as I thought it would. Let's hope I'm still here. I seem to be frozen on this screen. Let's close that one. Oh boy, have I messed everything up? Am I still here, fellas? Oh, there I am. Okay, now we're good. I think everything is good. Well, that didn't go nearly as smoothly as I thought it would, but I wanted to show you guys that just to give you a sense of the man himself. So, yeah, there he is. That's Greg. And a hell of a guy. My son and I went down to visit him. We ended up, as we normally do, or even when I go, end up just sitting and hanging out and talking with him, which is great. Trades that I've done with him in the past, he's still a rabid reader. So trades that I've done with him in the past, he's read all of the stuff. He'll read it all before he kind of prices it and gets it out there or sends it to people or, puts it in the booth at the flea market. So then we end up having discussions about these books too, which is great. So, I mean, that's the other thing that, I enjoy about it. Again, the same thing I enjoy about this too. It's nice to have someone in town who just appreciates comics, still reads them, is still really passionate about it. It's fantastic to have that here in town. So we'll probably save this stack for last. This is the Eclipse books that I grabbed. And then this is the kind of Renegade and Vortex, so like the Canadian books that I grabbed. We'll start here though. This is kind of just the random pile of indie stuff, and I mean this is pretty much all indie. You slab books and bury them in a safe under your shed. That's perfect. That's excellent. Nice cool climate. You can control the light coming in there. So I think I've spoken about it before. The alternative comics are just where my passions are. It's just, I can't deny it any longer. So it was great to look through that list. One starting off strong, I think. I have yet to read a single issue, but when I do hear about this series, I hear that it is top notch. I can't remember what the there might have been a bonus feature. Maybe it was on that Future Shock with Neil Gaiman talking about this series and how he was so sad that it didn't finish because he feels that it would have been one of the first really incredible comic series ever done. I believe this is Alan Moore, and let's have a look here. Sorry, people. Give me 1 second here. Ian Gibson and then lettering Steve Potter. So this is Halo Jones. I only found a few. Yeah, pen and paper, go for it. I'm guessing. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's gonna be stuff for sure, Gore. I'm sure there will be. So Halo Jones, and again, it's just one of those books that I've heard nothing but good things about. So I cannot wait to dig into this and get a taste of it. Out of these quality comics, they pop up every once in a while here in town, but not but not that often. Wow, damn it! I should have started stronger, Gore. So issue number 4, issue number 5, 7, 8, which is a great cover, and 11 and 12. I don't know how many issues of the Quality Comics version there were. Um, I personally, I know that there's mixed opinions on the reproductions in these Quality Comics and the Eagle comics that came out in North America, but I love the reproductions. I think it has a nice kind of grit to it, that works for me anyway. So very, very excited to dig into that one. Um, we'll probably fire through these ones a little bit quicker because they're very random. So this is a Fantagraphics one. I've got one other issue of Good Girls, and it was on the list, the only issue that he had, so I figured I'd grab it. I've had this other issue of Good Girls for a lifetime. So there's a little peek on the interiors there. I can't tell you anything about the story, um, because I haven't read the other one I have. And of course, I won't be able to find credits. But anyway, Good Girls, one that I've wanted for a long time and looked on eBay. It goes for really just ridiculous prices, though, this miniseries. Vic and Blood, Harlan Ellison and Richard Corbin, The Chronicles of a Boy and His Dog. Only the one issue. I think it was a 3-issue miniseries, possibly 3-4 issues. Either way, great to have one. I don't see a lot of Mad Dog Graphics. Where was Mad Dog Graphics out of? Was that Canadian as well too? I'm not sure. Just gonna keep these suckers on. No, it's Hollywood, California. Not even close. There's a little peek at the interior there. You have the Halo Jones reproductions, Gore. Is that what you're saying? Are they in like a collected edition or just the single issues? Oh yeah, this is your favorite boy and his dog story. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I'm looking forward to digging into it, getting a taste of it. Yeah, I mean, another book in the Corbin collection is never a bad thing. I think I might have bought doubles of this. I thought this was one that I didn't have. Roy Tompkins, Trailer Trash. You know what? If it, if you don't know it, it's a hell of a book. I've raved about it before. I think on one of my work trips when I found a bunch of them. Don't remember if it was Calgary or Toronto. But this is just a raunchy, outrageously ridiculous comic, and I love every single panel of it. It's filthy, it's hillbillies, it's ridiculous, and it's beautiful black and white work, and it is just so much fun. No, it's those. Okay, so it's those Halo Jones. Okay, I see. Oh, yeah, it originally appeared in black and white. Yeah, that would make sense. And then from Blue Comet, Tim Vigil, Greg Storman. It's Rough Raiders, issue number 3. Is that what this is? I've talked about Blue Comet before. I love the Blue Comet titles, especially Life Brigade. And the thing that drew me to it originally was Storman's art. I find really, really impressive in its kind of rough and naive kind of way. Unfortunately, I don't think he does any work other than the cover in this particular issue, but we do get some Tim Vigil in here, and there's a couple of stories in here, so it looks like there's a few artists through it. A really fun little company, some insane little superhero type stories. and when I find them, they're usually going for pennies. So I always grab them. I think this one finishes up my Rough Raiders. I don't think they had any series that lasted very long, 2, 3 issues, possibly 4 issues tops before they folded. So those are pretty good to find. Something else he had, which I'm getting close to completing now, Taboo #3, the Bissett horror anthology, which was on Spider Baby Graphics. That's right. So that was really, really a good find. I haven't sat and looked through any of these yet, so I'll just show you some of the interiors as we go. What do I got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 6 of these now, which is great. Intense stuff. I haven't sat and read all of them yet, but in the Bissett interview he did on the Kayfabe channel, he was talking about one of the premises of this for this horror anthology was approaching artists and writers and wanting them to write a story that scared the shit out of them. Not something like within the horror genre, but try to pick something that terrifies you and then write about it, which I think is a fantastic way about it. Yeah, they're super difficult to find. I came across a few of them just by fluke, and I think I grabbed them just literally moments before somebody else did. So, but I never see these out there. And one of my YouTube fans sent me one volume of these a long time ago, which was greatly appreciated because I agree with you, Gore. You just don't see these around anywhere. So I count myself very lucky. You know what? Maybe we'll go through the Canadian stuff next. So we'll start strong here. Let's go to the Vortex. So he had a lot more than I normally see anyway, of Vortex comics. And I'm incredibly excited about this because I was able to finish off, and it was something I spoke about in the hangout on Friday. I was able to finish off volume 1 of Mr. X. So now I have the 13 issues of it, and I'm so excited, and even more excited. We'll look through these covers too. Even more excited just looking at these covers. So this first issue is almost like a double-sized issue, and the Hernandez brothers do the interior art in these first kind of, I think it's five issues before they left. I don't know the story of why they left. Rasa was talking about the Hochi Anderson interview where he was hinting that they had some issues. So I'm incredibly excited about this. Yes, Gore, it is. I mean, the 2 issues that I've read already, I really enjoyed. I'm very, very excited. 4 issues. Okay, so Hernandez Brothers worked on 4 issues. I'm very excited to dive into this. I read 2 of the Seth issues and I stopped myself. And then, so I'd already placed my order with Greg of books that I wanted. And then I found a couple of the Mr. X ones recently, just the other day actually. And so I read 2 of them and was hooked right away that I wanted to know more. I stopped reading them, went back to his list, and he had all of the rest of volume 1, so I snatched him up right away. He does have volume 2 as well, but that'll be for a later time. I'll grab those at a later date. So I'm incredibly excited. Was it Templeton? I guess we'll find out. I thought it was Dean Motter that did number 5, but you know what? Let's find out together. Let's deal with it together. So issue number 2, beautiful covers, absolutely beautiful covers. And Gore, I'm incredibly excited about this, as you can tell. I'm very excited to dig into this. Just getting that taste of those 2 issues was enough to sell me on it for sure. The world, and I think having Seth follow up the Hernandez brothers is a good choice. Not that their styles are overly similar, but Seth does have a good sense of this kind of design. I think that they may have been going for with these first few issues. So yeah, that was number 3. Here we go, number 4. And again, so more Hernandez brothers beautifulness. And then I love, yeah, these covers are incredible. That is such a great cover. Look at that thing. Really, really nice. I really like that one. So what do we got here? Oh, hey, look at that. Problems getting paid. That makes sense. I have a feeling. So yeah, created, written, and cover illustrated by Dean Motter. Illustrated and colored by Klaus Schonenfeld for this issue. Co-scripted, inked, and lettered by Ty Templeton for issue number 5 here. And I think, unfortunately, a couple of issues after this, Klaus passed away. That was one of the issues. I think it was 7, because I think I might have read issues 7 and 8. And even in the interiors of this are great as well. There's a slight Ms. Tree vibe to the art. The comics, the fans in the letter columns didn't particularly like this style, but I think it was only because whoever you're going to follow up with after the Hernandez brothers, I don't think people would. I just think that you're bound to lose no matter what you do. And even when Seth came in the letters column in issue 8, people loved the art, but nobody ever in the letters, nobody ever named Seth. Nobody ever said him by name. I see. Dean Motter provided an outline for them, but they didn't have to follow it. Dean Motter created the character with Paul Ravoche, who was to do the artwork, but he couldn't get it together. Vortex got antsy, and the brothers were brought in. Okay. Issue number 6. Oh yeah, so here we go. So 6 is the first one, illustrated by Seth. And even that doesn't feel like, yeah, it has a bit of a Seth vibe for sure. Great. And then jumping all the way, because I had the next bunch, so jumping all the way to issue 11 with a very Palookaville looking cover there. Number 12, another beautiful cover. So that's it. The first 13 issues, or the first volume, I'm pretty sure that was the entire first volume anyway, of Mr. X. So that is top of the reading pile. Actually, I'm going to put him over here with the rest of the books. And then he had, what else did he have from Vortex? 2 more issues of Ted McKeever's Transit. I have issue number 1 and 2 already. This was a 5-issue miniseries. I've also got the hardcover collection, but again, another title, especially of McKeever's, I never see anywhere. This and Eddie Current. I have 1 issue of Eddie Current, 1 single issue of Eddie Current that I've found out in the wild, but both of these are books that I just don't find. I'm a huge fan of Ted McKeever. And the other day, maybe I'll show it because it's right here. So I think I want to say it was Transit first, and then Eddie Current, I believe, is the way that it went. I'm trying to read the books from the spines of the books from over here. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. So again, in that Ho Chi Anderson interview, when he started his career, he just went to the Vortex offices, because he's in Toronto as well, and knocked on the door and wanted to talk to somebody and show some art and things like that. And eventually he got a job there. And one of the people that they held up to him was Ted McKeever. Like, you got to draw as good as this guy. And I had to flip through this last night and read a few pages just to try to get a sense of it. Seeing this book, his style is very similar, or was very similar at that time. Not screamingly so, but there is some sense of McKeever in Ho-Chi's earlier work here. So I can see why they may have kind of said that to him, or at least pointed him towards McKeever's art, just because of those similarities. So issue number 3 and issue number 4 of Transit. Very excited about this. I mean, I've read it already, but it's because I'm such a fan. It's nice to have the floppies as well too. I'll put those over here as well. And the only reason I got this is because it was Vortex and it was on his list. As you can do with any sort of PDF, I just did a search through the whole document for Vortex comics and pretty much bought every Vortex comic that he had listed. So this is Captain Keen and Company, issue number 1 and 2. I think it only went 2 issues. Don't know anything about it. Like I said, the only reason I picked it up was because it was Vortex. So there's a taste of the inside there. I'll get you some names right away here. Bill White and Gary Fields. What are we looking at? 1986 here for this. It looks more kind of a comedy. We'll see how it goes. This type of stuff doesn't usually work for me, but it's always worth giving it a shot. The other thing that always jumps out, I've seen this ad in a few of the Vortex ones. Man, it just jumps off the page, even especially in the middle of a book. Having a look at this Paradox ad is really nice to kind of jar you. There's no way you wouldn't have known that book was coming. And there you go, a little peek at the inside there. And then finally from Vortex, he had a couple of 4 of the anthologies. I've got one of them. This one, I didn't see a Mr. X story inside. Apparently, this is the first appearance of Mr. X. I think maybe it's just a cover appearance. When I flipped through, I didn't see him in here. And this one has a real underground comics vibe to it. The paper is really, really cheap and brown. It feels like it's a little oversized compared to regular comic books. And just the style. Yeah, I'm not seeing any Mr. X, and it's not listed in the contents either. Yeah, so 1983 for this one. But there's a sample of the interiors there. I don't know if you can see the color of the page on the camera there, but really, really good looking stuff. Rough around the edges. Nice panel layouts. So that'll be nice. So number 2, issue number 3. Number 4, that's his first appearance. Okay, yeah. Number 4. And then number 5 for the Vortex anthology. I want to say that went 13 issues or something. It went quite a bit. So that's it for them. Renegade Press, another Canadian, right? No, hey, look at that. I'm totally wrong. Again, Long Beach, California. Why did I think it was Canadian as well? Printed in Canada in Windsor. So this series is one that Ed and Jim kind of ragged on one of their haul or mailbag videos. They hated the covers. They didn't look through them. It's called French Ice, and I got the first 5 issues. I wonder if there's a... Yeah, Danny Lubert. Wasn't she Sim's wife? I was sure that unless she moved down to the States. Looks like it's one artist, and now I'm not seeing any names here. So anyway, yeah, they ragged on it just because the covers all had the same kind of layout and how are you supposed to tell one issue from another and blah 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 and all this. So they didn't really put any stock into flipping through these. I'm always down for any translated work. So this is the L'Officier, uh, Randy, I think his first name is, doing the translation on this one. And if you joined us on Friday, we got deep into the weeds of translators and how important a job that is. For a year, Paul Ravoche had made promo posters promoting Mr. X, which is why when the Hernandez brothers did the artwork, many people, including myself, were disappointed with the interiors. Ah, okay. Because what he presented was different than what they did. Oh, cool. Yeah. Number 2. Number 3. Yep. Number 4. And I mean, clearly you can tell they're different. The colors are completely different. But yeah, I see what they're saying though. And then number 5 there. Another one that I was really excited about. I have the 3rd issue. I've never seen the first 2. And I've shown off the first issue here before because I loved the lettering in it. So this is Mech Things. And again, it's a little more underground comic sized. It's a little wider than most comics. I love the art in here. We'll look through it. And what I love even more is the lettering and it's kind of the just the style of everything involved inside. Let's see if we can find a good page here. Yeah, I mean, there you go. There's some good panels there to give you a sense of what the art is like. The story itself in issue 3, I mean, just looking at this page here scares the shit out of me. That's a lot of text for a page. It wasn't it wasn't the easiest thing to read at the time when I read through issue 3, and it didn't blow me away. The story didn't blow me away at all. Yeah, incredibly 70s like gore. Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's with stuff like this, it's more about the art for me. Yeah, I love the style of their lettering. There you go. There's another taste of it there. So those will be fun to flip through. Mech Things. So Mech Things number 1 and Mech Things number 2. Another great cover. I think it only went the 3 issues as well. This one feels a little thicker than other ones. Look at that. It's nice, man. Really, really nice. Let's talk creators here, which I should just do automatically. Which they just don't seem to want to put anywhere. They talk about the publishers and the press liaison and the distributors. You'd think you'd want to have the creators' names front and center. It's such a shame when you have to deal with that kind of nonsense. Oh man, yeah, these are great. Brad Foster. I think so. There's some more that jumped out at me, just flashing at the back there. Renegade Romance, another almost double issue anthology. I think this one had Trina Robbins in it and others. Yeah, here we go. Here's some Trina right here. Such a clean line. Her art always stands out. And what else do we got? Let's have a look, see if we can find some names. Sorry for the slow pace of this video here. I mean, this is the first time for me flipping through a lot of these as well too, so I'm not nearly as prepared as I usually am. Look at that. That's great stuff. Yeah, and this one I'm not familiar with. I'm not familiar too much with all the Renegade published stuff. So another nice score there. I just love, as I've talked about before, I love the anthologies. Anthologies for me are sometimes the preferred way to go. Anthologies and mini series I will buy for days and days and days. It's bound to be something you're gonna like. And then finally from Renegade, I think it was just the one issue. He had a little write up on his sheet about this one that apparently it's an incredible story. I'd never heard of it before. Tripto the Acid Dog. So I figured the price was right. I think he had it listed at like $1 or $2. So there we go. There's a peek inside there. Let's see if they do the exact same thing in here. Story by Bill Mooney and Miguel Ferrer. Art by Steve Leolola. Leoloa, Lealoha. There you go. Yeah, no, they look good. Hey, Gore, like this Renegade Romance looks fantastic. So I'm looking forward to that one. So that's that. So let's hit the meat of the collection. I was surprised again. I'm getting closer and closer every day to completing the Eclipse published stuff, and I was pleasantly surprised at how many Eclipse titles he had in his lists. Yeah, most of my purchases happened because I went looking for one thing and ended up saying that looks cool 100 times. Yeah, 100%. Um, and even the way that he just all he did was on the list is he'll have a couple of words about stuff, but again, when I'm just looking, especially when I'm zeroing in on specific companies, and if it's a title I don't recognize, it's like, yeah, I don't even need to see it, just give it to me. Especially when it comes to trading, because I think I had whatever I had a lot of money in trading. So when I pulled these ones out of the bag, I was like, why the fuck did I buy these? What was the draw here? So this isn't quite into the Eclipse. This is the kind of preview towards the Eclipse titles. And then when I flipped it over, I saw Tales from the Bean World. So this was some later published stuff. I don't know what year we're looking at. Yeah, we're looking at 1995 here. So we got some Bean World, which I have almost the full Eclipse run at this point. And I've read an issue or two here. I'm looking forward to getting into it. Another one that the kayfabe guys rave about. The rest of the book is absolutely nothing for me, anyway, to write home about. It doesn't appeal to me. It's a little too much of that 90s image style for the rest of it. But who knows? Maybe I flip through it and I'm wrong and I end up loving some of it. But I don't think so. So I got issues 1 and 2 because both of them have Bean World stories in them, which led me into finding on his list the first 3 issues. I think it was the first 3 issues were the Bean World press before it went over to Eclipse. So I found he had all those listed. And again, this is another kind of underground comic size, much wider. Just the paper is a lot whiter. And I've never seen these. I see Tales from the Bean World quite a bit, actually, especially once I kind of bought the issues. They end up popping up in a lot of dollar bins, but I've never seen these first 3 issues out there, so that was kind of nice. And again, gives me an opportunity to start right from scratch, right from the beginning. So issue 1. Oh, sorry, no. So it must be 4 issues because I have issue 1, issue 3, and then issue 4. So there you go. That answers that question. Great looking stuff. So there we go. And that will lead us into Eclipse. The final issue of Destroyer Duck that I needed to complete that run. Is it a comic that I'm super excited about? No, I think I tried to read one of the issues and it just did nothing for me. So I haven't read any other ones. Maybe I'll give it another shot because that was quite a while ago that I did try reading it. Um, it doesn't look bad or anything. It's just that I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me. But the completist in me saw it on the list, didn't have it, so it's snatched it up. One that does look impressive and that I haven't seen, a parody As You Like It. Is it a comic or a product, or is it both? Elf Thing, spectacular speculators edition. Sorry, #1. And we'll flip through this one because the interiors of this look surprisingly good. Uh, I'm kind of looking forward to checking this one out. Oh, look at that beautiful ad. Coming in 1987. Twisted Tales, Alien Worlds, Bruce Jones Associates, Eclipse Comics, biannual, 48 pages, square bound, Dark Knight format. Huh, interesting. Dark Knight format, eh? That's a killer ad. Look at that. Well done. There were some of the pages that jumped out at me. This creature looked pretty great. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't look bad at all. I mean, black and white, man. It's the way to go. So who do we got? So we got Frank P. Marino for the story. Art, James Friel. Lettering, Carrie Spiegel. Really, really great image. Elf Thing. Another one I'm incredibly excited about. I've had it bookmarked on my. I have an ever growing and shrinking cart on my comic shop, and this series is one that's there. The covers just jumped out at me. The interiors don't look too bad either, but the Enchanter 8-issue miniseries. First 3 issues is what I picked up. And who we got? We got Don Chin, writer, co-creators, artists Mike Dringenberg, letters Kurt Hathaway. Nice looking stuff there. So issue #1, I think I got 1, 2, and 3, I think is what I got. Love those covers. Really, really nice. Kind of reminds me of that Spiral Path a little bit. That Eclipse miniseries. And then, yeah, issue #3. Beautiful, beautiful looking book. A couple of more. I think now I'm just one away from having all of the Eclipse Comics Miracle Man. Gore, I saw you just did a video today. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, looking through an issue. So I've got number 13, 14, and 16. And I believe 16 was Alan Moore's last one, if I'm not mistaken. And then it went to Neil Gaiman. And I think, like we were talking about, maybe it was just this past Friday. I never see the Neil Gaiman Miracle Man issues out there. I think I may have seen 1 or 2 out there. But other than that, they don't pop up. And when I see them online, the shit's expensive for some of those issues of Miracle Man. So I'm not sure what the story is there, because I see these pop up a lot more. I'm excited to almost having this run. I've never read the entire run. Like, I don't have a collection of them. I didn't read the Marvel reprints when they did it, so I've never finished reading the Alan Moore Miracle Man run. So I'm very excited to be 3 books closer. Issue number 14. Even the kayfabe guys, they did videos about these issues. I don't know if they talked about every single one. I may have stopped short of watching all of their videos. Really, hey, those ones are expensive. Well, I mean, it's, hit up Dr. Monkeybot. It sounds like he may have doubles there. Work out a deal with that fine gentleman. I'll send you that scan though. I haven't had a chance to scan because we were out painting today. Look at those. I mean, I don't need to sell anybody who watches my channel on Miracle Man, but we can't not have a look at the interiors here. At least a little bit. Yeah, and I mean, the chunk that I have read, I absolutely love it as well. I don't know if it's my favorite of kind of like the revisionist superhero stuff, but I do really, really enjoy it, what I've read. And then, yes, number 16. Yeah, what the hell? We'll have a look at a little bit anyway. Beautiful. Man, super excited. Very, very excited for that. Another one shot that I didn't have. It's a Tim Truman. I believe it's still Truman in this one as well. Yeah, Four Winds production. Oh, no. Script, Michael H. Price. Illustrations, Gerald Fortin and Graham Nolan. Letters, Tim Harkins. Edits by Timothy Truman. So Truman did a couple of miniseries, The Prowler. So this is The Prowler in White Zombie one shot. And I thought that he did something in this as well too, but I guess not, unless there's a second story in there. Oh, gotta show off the ads there. Look at that, the Scout War Shaman ad. That's the last more story. Okay, good. Yeah, after that, Neil came on board. Have you read the Neil Gaiman issues as well, Gore? Have you read that whole run as well? Yeah, it looks like it is just one story in here. So yeah. The other Prowler miniseries, they were just okay. Another in the line of kind of updating some pulp heroes for Truman, which he loves to do. They weren't horrible, but nothing really stuck with me from them, to be honest. I couldn't tell you the first thing about them. I enjoyed them enough when I was reading them. Mark Vanier and Dan Spiegel, the final issue from Who Done It that I needed to complete that mini run there. So this was a book where there was a mystery in it, and you could send in your answer, and if you were correct, you can win $1,000 in cash. Details inside. Who offed Henry Croft? With a very kind of Dan Clowes velvet glove cast in iron type of image there on the front with that masked woman, I'm guessing, or masked individual or robot or whatever it is. Yeah, even fucking ray gun and everything there. That is a hell of a Dan Clowes. Yes, I've read Neil's books. They're good. I don't think he finished it though. Okay. Should I even ask? How do they compare to the Alan Moores? I mean, is that even a question to bother asking? So there you go. The first two issues, this one, they're fun enough. It's nice, because when you get the next issue, you get the answer to the issue before this. But like I said, unfortunately, this was the final one, so I don't know where the answer to it was published. It might have been, I don't remember. It might have been in an issue of Mystery. I don't remember. I'm sure it'll say in the back there. The covers on these are incredible. I haven't started reading it yet. I've got most of the issues now. I think I might have them all now with these final three. This was Eclipse International, so when they were doing their manga, this was one of those titles, Heavy Metal Warrior Xenon. And I kind of wish that this would have been a color book and it would have been colored like these front and back covers, because I really love the way the colors pop on these. And it's for every single issue in this run. They're all just as good. Taste of the interiors there. Nothing too surprising with the interiors. I haven't read a single issue of this yet, so I don't know what to expect with this one. But again, in that history of early manga being translated, this is just one of those books. So what did I say? Issue number 5, issue number 16. Like, look at that shit. That's great. Issue number 16. There's the back cover there. Oh, yeah, I really dig that. I wish they would have done that. And then issue number 20. Oh, I get it. There we go. Do that way. Oh yeah, so you've read it, Weird Dad? Excellent. That's good to know. Um, Moore's book reads like a tragedy. Neil's follow up is satisfactory coda. Okay, cool. Great story. Well, that's good to know, Weird Dad. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm looking forward to it even more then. Another one that's been really hard to track down from the Eclipse International is Appleseed, and I can only guess that because it was so popular, from what I understand, that I imagine everybody who has it isn't getting rid of it. So this is book one, volume one, so the very first issue. I don't have many of these, and there's the interiors there. A little more dense, a little more energetic in this one compared to Xenon, but that doesn't necessarily mean jack shit. Here we go. And then we're getting into some square bound. The rest of these are all square bound, and then there's a graphic novel at the end too. And when it comes to the Eclipse stuff, all of the books that are really hard to find, the square bound are probably the most difficult. MSK, how are you? The square bound books are the most difficult to find. I never see this stuff. And then of course, wouldn't you know it, as soon as I placed this order, I found this first 3 issue run here somewhere else, but it was a couple of dollars more. So it's Anne McCaffrey's Dragonflight. Again, I'm not a big fantasy guy. I know that this is a pretty popular series of books, and McCaffrey was a popular writer. Um, I'm not going to be rushing to read this one. It looks great. There's nothing wrong with it. This was more, it's Eclipse. I'm a completist. I gotta buy it. He had all 3 issues, so why the hell not? So Anne McCaffrey's beloved science fantasy epic becomes a fully painted graphic novel. So adapted by Bryn Stevens, illustrated by Leila Dowling and Cynthia Martin. Couple other looks at the inside there. So yeah, issue one, and these are, I think his note on the back was that these were like brand new, that they hadn't even been read. So there's issue number 2. So I mean, maybe that tells you something too there. Issue number 2, I shouldn't be too hard on it. I haven't read it. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, basically. I just have a sinking feeling. And then issue number 3. I do like the art though, I gotta say. Looks really nice. Who knows? Maybe I'll be completely wrong. When I went to pick up the books, Greg made a point of talking about this one specifically and how much of a fan he was of it. And he'd passed it on to a friend of his quite a while ago who was a big horror fan, but hadn't read comics, and they found it a real challenge to read this issue. And because we ended up talking about just how difficult it is for someone, especially later on in life, trying to read comics. Because I was talking about my wife reading Gore's favorite saga, and she, as much as she enjoyed the story, the thing that actually burnt her out of keeping up with it. No, Weird Dad, I have not read Appleseed. I'm looking forward to it. The thing that kind of burnt her out of it wasn't the story itself. It just became so challenging for her to just read the comic, because she found herself getting confused as to where she was supposed to read first and where it was supposed to go next, and that sort of thing. Because when she first started reading the trades, she was loving it. She devoured it. But I think that's what burnt her out. And even now, when my daughter wants, when it's kind of time for bed and story time, when she wants a comic read, I always am the one that reads them to her, because my wife she just can't wrap her head around some of it. She doesn't quite get it. Sorry. So this is that's how that conversation started. So this is I Am Legend, Richard Matheson and Elman Brown, book one. I don't know how many books there were, but I think the premise of this one is that the whole world is vampires, and there's one, yeah, a strange virus has turned everyone on Earth into a vampire. Everyone except Robert Neville. He spends his days fortifying his house from their after dark attacks, trying to locate their hiding places, and making wooden stakes with which to mercifully lay his wife to her final rest, and then destroy the others before they destroy him. And it looks, I love the interiors. I really, really like the way this one looks. Text heavy, which always makes me a tiny bit nervous, but beautiful looking book. So that's that one. One that I am incredibly excited to have, and right after Mr. X, I'm going to be reading these. I had books 1 and 2 of these for a lifetime, and I never finished the story. And I vividly remember this book because I think it was probably the first comic that I picked up that looked like this. That if it wasn't the first, it was one of the first that really opened my eyes to, holy shit, comics can look like this. And the first issue has a record inside, and I remember playing that record over and over and over again. So this first issue, the record is still intact in the book. So Fritz Lang, John J. Muth, the 4-issue M. I cannot wait to dig into this again. And I mean, it's one that I don't see. I just don't see it out there. So there's the flexi disc in there. I mean, it's attached, but that shit's getting pulled out. It's getting pulled out. It's getting played on the record player upstairs. It's getting put onto the computer. It's going to get played on the radio show. I guess I could always look online to see if I can find it, but I'm incredibly excited about this one. So yeah, I don't know how many times I flipped through these 2 issues and read these 2 issues, but it was a hell of a lot, because again, the art just was amazing to me, that this was a comic, or this was classified as a comic, and it just looked like nothing I had seen previous. So that's issue number 1. So now I finally have, because like I said, books 1 and 2 were the only ones that I had. I never was able to find books 3 and 4. So he had them all, and I just bought them all. So there's book number 2. Oh, and it says Arcane/Eclipse books on the back here. I wonder what year we're talking for this one. Is this then early on, or was this edited by Steve Niles, based on the film by Fritz Lang, with script by Thea von Harbu, book by John J. Muth? Yeah, no, I'm not seeing a year in here. Unless it's at the back. Oh, 1990. No, it's not early at all. So you go issue number 3, and then finally issue number 4. Incredible. Mythology of an Abandoned City is my favorite. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Beautiful. I can't believe it. Yeah. Just some of those things, I just can't believe it. I'm running out of room here, Gore. Help me out. Bring Texas. 2 issues. Isaac Asimov, Orbit. Graphic science fiction. Issue number 2 and 3. I think this might have only been a 3-issue miniseries as well, too, from Eclipse. And I should say all of these square bound are in amazing shape. I don't know how much any of these got read. I'm almost nervous opening some of these up. There's a look inside there. We should look and see a list of writers and artists. We'll look in the begin. We'll look in the front of it here. So we've got Lawrence Watts Evans, Windwagon Smith and the Martians, adaptation by Fred Burke, art by Derek Robertson and Mark Picella. Ben Bova, Silent Night, adaptation by Fred Burke, art by Raphael Kayanin. And then Isaac Asimov, Marooned off Vesta, adaptation J.D. Scott with art by Michael Davis. And this is what we're looking, 1990 for this one as well, too. My brother was an enormous Isaac Asimov fan and reader. And yeah, he devoured. I just remember his bookshelves. He went through a few years where he just devoured everything Isaac Asimov. So that's the Asimov story there. That's the final one. Yes. Yeah. So that's that one. And then in issue number 3, no, not edited. So yeah, stories based on his work. So what it looks like is it's Isaac Asimov's Marooned off Vesta, but it's an adaptation by J.D. Scott specifically for that one. So they're all kind of taken from their books. So in this one, oh, hey, look, it says it on the back there. The Lost Garden of Enid Blyton, Beatrix Potter, Lucy Atwell, and the rest of the lads of the 32nd Parachute Regiment by Gary Kilworth, illustrated by John Bolton. The Last Question by Isaac Asimov, illustrated by John Estes. And The End of Life as We Know It by Lucius Shepard, illustrated by Tom Yeats. Dude, there we go. So there's that third story. There's Tom Yeats. John Bolton, hey? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, boy. That's some Black Orchid level coloring in this, almost. Beautiful. That looks amazing. So what do we have here? So the first story adapted by Fred Burke, second one adapted by Don Thompson, and then the third one is adaptation and art by Tom Yeats. Very cool. There's a sample of the second story there. So that's very neat. I've never heard of these. I don't even think they exist on. I'll have to check in the Wizard magazine that the Kayfabe fan club put together, because I don't remember seeing this one online when I was putting together my own checklist for Eclipse Comics. So then they did a few. The first comics collaboration between an American writer and a Japanese artist, Samurai Son of Death, is a cooperative venture that has been 3 years in the making. So there you go. So Sharman Devono's story combines the history of one of feudal Japan's greatest battles with a new legend of a dead samurai warrior miraculously restored to life. Mixed throughout are the intricacies of politics, religion, and court intrigue, complete with ninja assassins and treacherous spies. How the hell can you can't not have ninja assassins? There's a look at this. This one looks really good. I flipped through this one as well too. Love the style. So I think this was part of their, even though it's not quite graphic novel size, I think this was part of their early kind of foray into some more graphic novel oriented stuff. Let's look at a year here, 1987 for this one. So cast of characters inside there. That looks great too. The final issue of Spider that I needed, there was 2 3-issue miniseries by Truman. These are great. I did read the second and third book and then the other volume when I first picked them up. and they're fantastic. If you see these, I don't hesitate to pick them up. They're a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to rereading this one now that I have part one. Um, a lot of fun. Shades of Grimjack to the main character there. Shades of Scout, obviously too. You know, it's Truman. Shades of Tim Truman. Let's just say throughout the whole book. So that's great. I'm really glad to finally have that. For some reason, that was impossible to find. Every time I saw that series, it was always issue 2 or issue 3, never issue number 1. This one I'm a little nervous about for a couple of reasons. I'm a huge fan of the Avengers. I remember watching it um, on repeats. I think it was on Bravo. Oh no, it was on A&E up here in Canada, Arts and Entertainment. I love the Avengers series. I haven't watched it in forever, but I was hooked on this series. My man Grant Morrison writing this, and again, I'm assuming this is early in his career too, so it makes me slightly nervous. And the art inside doesn't blow me away either. So, written by Grant Morrison, illustrated by Ian Gibson again, and we're looking at 1990, so not super early. I thought this was 80s for some reason. So I mean, I will get to this one. It may be kind of midway down the stack, probably around the halfway mark, but I am nervous about it. I've seen this out there. This is one that I have seen a few times. I just haven't ever picked it up, and I think probably because of my hesitation to dive into it. But when you're gonna trade, why not go for it? So there you go. The covers aren't too bad. I like the layout of the covers. And then finally, I'm actually very excited about this one because this is one that I'll read with Lillian. It's hefty, graphic novel, but again, have never seen it. So The Hobbit, I guess, another one that I wasn't aware of. I don't think is on my kind of personal list of Eclipse titles that I put together. Um, and again, another one that looks like it's been unread, like it hasn't even been opened. So this looks like it'll be good. I'm hoping. Illustrated by David Wenzel, adapted by Charles Dixon, with Sean Deming. And we're looking at. Okay, so the contents of the book, this book were originally published in 3 volumes, August 1989, April 1990, and August 1990. So this is just a collection of those. And it looks great in it. Definitely wordy, but I think this one might be fun to read with Lillian. I think she might get a kick out of it. We'll see. It might be, I'll try reading kind of half a dozen pages with her, 8-10 pages with her, see what her interest is, and then gauge it, because it might be something that we wait another year before we read, a year or two. But I mean, she's pretty adventurous with her reading. She loves just sitting and listening to us read to her, so she gets super cozy under the covers, and it's actually, anybody who has kids is well aware how much fun that is. And I have fond memories of that too, sitting and getting stories read to me. Yeah, so that looks pretty great. I'm excited, man. It's a hell of a stack of books. What's that stack there? That's done. Anything else creeping around here? No, that's it. There you go, people. Thanks for sticking with me for an hour and 15. Lots of books. I'm sitting down immediately. I'm not going to move from this chair. I'm going to turn off this camera, and I'm going to pick up Mr. X, and I'm going to start reading. Very excited. Thanks a lot for sticking that out Hopefully there was some stuff there, like me, there was some stuff there that I had no idea existed. And again, just flipping through these books, yeah, there's lots of great stuff coming out currently for sure. I'm sure there is, and I'm sure I could get lost in it, but I'm so soaked up in these older books. I'm definitely running out of room. It's going to be time for another kind of cleanse. Although I've done so many cleanses, there really is, every time I look, that pile of stuff that I want to sell or trade gets smaller and smaller, because there's less and less stuff that I want to get rid of. I'm really, and I think I say this every time, I feel like I'm really at a point where um, what I have surrounded myself with is what I want. It's there isn't much fluff left over. It's all kind of stuff. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll see you next week. If you haven't already, for those watching in the future, uh, check out Dr. Monkeybot's channel. We're going to be back into doing some Friday. Well, we have been for the last 2 weeks doing some Fridays. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. I have this week of work where I just work the 3 half days, and then we're going to get a sense of how often I go back to work after that. So who knows? It may be the final week for me making an appearance on that particular Friday show. So if you can join us this weekend, come check it out. Later. Gorvidal, Weird Dad, MSKI, thanks very much for hanging out. We'll talk to y'all later.